Jay, we were talking a little while ago about your 1988 championship with Operation Bass, and you went and fished this tournament in Hawaii. Can you tell us a little bit about
that was a thrill. You know, I'm one of the few guys that's ever won a bass tournament in Hawaii. That's a great thing to have on your resume. On your resume. So it was, back then, let's see, in '88, Operation Bass, the old Red Man Tournament Trail, which is now the BFLs, but they had a tournament of champions at the end of the year. They'd take the angler of the year from each region around the country, and they'd go to have a championship. And for 2 years in a row, they went to Hawaii, fished on maybe a 30-acre lake called Lake Wahiawa. And the first year, wasn't fishing, but the second year they went there, I won Angler of the Year in the Colorado River Division and in the Southwest. And I got to go, and remember the first day we got there, and I got paired with a guy named Billy Schroeder, which has turned out to be a good friend. He's from Kentucky Lake, and Larry knows his dad really well, and they're great ambassadors of the sport of bass fishing. I got to fish with young Billy. We were about the same age. He was in his 20s back then, and Ranger shipped like 10 bass boats on a big ship all the way to Honolulu for this tournament. They flew us out there first class, and they put us up on this beautiful hotel right on the beach in Waikiki for a week. And we had like a 6-hour tournament, you know. You knew what their priority was. They were there to party and have fun. But so we went out there, and anyway, I remember I got paired with Billy, and there was like a 3-fish limit, and I remember catching 3 for like 8 or 9 pounds, and caught him on a jig and pig. You know, an old number 11 Uncle Josh pork rind. You're not supposed to bite pork in hot water. I didn't know that. I was 20 years old. You know,
the jig you were throwing?
Probably a Stanley jig, I think.
Probably
I fished back then. Old Lonnie, I'll never forget this. When I was in college, I wrote Lonnie Stanley a letter once. I said, I want to be a bass pro one day. I would like to be sponsored by Stanley Jigs. A week later, I get this huge box full of Stanley jigs and spinnerbaits. And he never met me in his life. That's how nice a guy Lonnie Stanley is.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, I remember, I'm sure I was using one of his jigs that he sent me. And so that was a huge thrill to win that in Hawaii. And they, put me on the cover of their magazine and stuff. And I had my Hawaiian, a Ranger had these Hawaiian Aloha shirts made that we fished a tournament out of. Like today we wear these jerseys, and we had Aloha shirts with flowers and palm trees and stuff. It said Ranger right here and your name on this side. It was awesome. But that's a great memory. I was one of the only 2 guys to ever win a tournament, and a national tournament anyway in the state of Hawaii. I think they have bass clubs out there that fish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got 1 or 2 clubs that I know of now. But yeah, they have maybe 1 or 2 lakes, and that's about it.
That's about it. I think Kauai has a few small lakes with some bass too.
So you got a limit the first day? Or?
Yeah, it actually was a 2-day tournament. The limit was 3. I had 3 for like 8 pounds. The next day, I think I caught 2 for 5 pounds and ended up winning. But there was a lot of good fishermen in that tournament. I didn't know what I was doing. I just go around the bank pitching a jig and. Happened to catch enough to win. So
were any other national names in that tournament that people would recognize today?
Well, Mike Reynolds fished. He fished bass for a while. He won a Bassmaster Top 100 about 7-8 years ago. He's from Northern California. Mm-hmm. And Billy Schroeder and I can't remember. I fished with a guy named Don Russ from Indiana the next day. I think old Mike McDonald was in that tournament. The Ranger rep.
Right,
He was in it. And he's from up there in Ohio or something. And Tom LaVictory from Vermont was there. He's a big stick, probably one of the best tournament anglers in the history of the Northeast. He's from Vermont, won more in the Northeast than anybody. So there were some pretty salty names there. I can't remember. I mean, that's like 25 years ago. That's a pretty good list right there. But yeah, there were some good fishermen.
Uh-huh.
That was a big event back then, believe me, and it was hard to qualify for. I'm sure there was some other people there that you don't remember.
I'm sure. I'm probably, hopefully they're not watching.
I mean, Operation Bass for the Western stuff, I mean, that was really all the Western guys had to fish some sort of a national tournament of champions or classic.
Before U.S. Bass came along.
That
was back in the late 80s, and that was pre...
Right. Well, U.S. Bass started in '84.
Oh, okay. What was going on there?
Yeah, and it stopped in '88.
Right.
And that was they were spawned from Western Bass Association, and but yeah, the Western bass was gone in that. But you actually fished the U.S. bass stuff.
Yes, bunch of them.
Yeah, the open.
Bunch of them. I won Angler of the Year with them about 3 times when they was fishing in the south or here.
In the 86,
Yeah.
87, 88.
Yeah, I fished everything I could fish back then.
Yep.
I won a U.S. bass on Lake Mojave. I think in '88 is the last year they had it.
Yep.
Then they just folded. And
Yep.
I won one on Rayburn, Lake Palestine. I can't remember.
Tawakoni or
Didn't you win the $2 million?
Tawakoni, no. No, it wasn't Palestine
He won
either.
so many tournaments, he can't remember.
It was Tawakoni.
it was, yeah.
Yeah.